we don't really ask why at Aspire House. We ask why not. Why not build great spaces? Why not make a neighborhood great? Why not plant flowers? Why not put the best materials in a low-income community? Why not?
It's that mindset that's turning the 126-year-old firehouse on 1002 Udell Street into the heart of the near Northwest community. Sharon and Tim Clark bought the property in 2012 and have set out to rehabilitate the tired space into a haven of education, arts, and opportunity.
The roof was leaking, there was a tarp on the top, it was all boarded up, all the windows were boarded up, there was grass growing out of the side of the building. It was not a pretty sight, so I was like, what would it take to get this looking good again?
Similar to how the firehouse slowly declined over the years, the near Northwest neighborhood, from 16th to 38th and Boulevard to Kessler, has undergone the same change. Once a vibrant place to live, rows of abandoned houses tell the story of a neighborhood past its prime. Hadia Ahmed has lived in the near Northwest since she was 3 years old and has seen it decline.
You know, there's not a lot of pride in your neighborhood anymore. So like you see trash on top of the things, like it's disrespectful, you know, and it's not just disrespectful to the person that owns the property, but it's disrespectful to the neighborhood and the community that people can't drive down the streets and they can't drive through the neighborhood and not see that even the community doesn't love itself.
Ahmed's mother, Mona Wadu, has lived in the same house on West 27th Street for 46 years.
When we moved here, the neighborhood was vibrant. The children could go out and play. You didn't worry about where they were. There were neighborhood stores, grocery stores, a library, a record shop, the school, the park had a pool, and all the vacant lots that you see now had homes on them.
The Clarks have set out to restore this once lively community. They looked to residents for direction as they began restoring and clearing out the century-old firehouse a couple years ago.
As we were here working, you know, weekend after weekend, cleaning things up and stuff, the neighborhood just started telling us what they wanted. And they wanted a space to connect and to be more together, because they didn't really have that.
Thus was born Aspire House, a grassroots community organization committed to enhancing the lives of near Northwest residents. Sharon has big plans for each floor of the 3-story house.
So the first floor is absolutely neighborhood public space. The main bay, which is where the trucks used to go in and stuff, will be the majority of our flexible space. So we'll be able to do programming in there. We can host events in there. We can rent it out for people to host their own events.
Maurice Harbour is the executive director and founder of Liberty Grove Schools. The majority of the school's 260 K through 6th graders live within a mile of Liberty Grove, which is less than a 10-minute walk from Aspire House. Harbour says he is excited to see the school grow, knowing that students will have access to the supplemental programming Aspire will provide.
It'll create a shift between what the community has become over the years and what it will become in the next 5 to 10 years. In other words, you know, the school, Aspire House, will become pillars of this community in terms of, hey, you can go to Liberty Grove and get a good foundational education, but you can also go to Aspire House and get that opportunity and access that, you know, just isn't, you know, abundant in this community.
The second floor of Aspire House will be dedicated to supplying reduced cost housing for teachers. In exchange for providing programming throughout the week, the teachers will be able to live alongside the community in which they directly impact.
I think it'll be a great opportunity for teachers to really say, look, I'm a part of the community, and for students to really see that, you know, oh, there's Mr. Harbour or Mr. Johnson, they live up the block there.
Aspire House board member Sarah Marshall is involved in choosing the teachers who'd be good candidates for the subsidized spaces. She says the apartments may provide teachers with unique perspectives.
I think it gives teachers a different lens into the lived experiences of their students. And I think there's always something special when you're able to build a bond outside of the classroom that helps teachers and students just kind of understand each other on a really, really different level.
Before the idea of Aspire House was born, Sharon's original plan was to clean up the first floor of the house for artist studio spaces. Although the project has since surpassed her initial objectives, she still wanted to include a place for creatives to call home in Aspire.
On the third floor are 2 more apartments. And our hope is to be able to have those available for folks in the creative space, so artists and artist lofts.
Top to bottom, Sharon estimates the total cost of building renovation at $1.4 million. To help in this large financial undertaking, several sponsors are lending a helping hand, including the Arthur Dean Family Foundation, a local organization that funds youth programming in Indianapolis. Director of Grant Making Drew Black is excited to see the potential for how Aspire House will impact the community.
What we just love about what Tim and Sharon are doing is that they're bringing this programming right into the neighborhood, eliminating barriers for kids to access it, and providing them with meaningful opportunities for that community just to benefit from.
Around 5 years after the Clarks bought the house, they created a supplemental nonprofit organization to additionally serve the community called the Aspire Higher Foundation. Co-founder of Aspire House and chair of Aspire's board of directors, Tim Clark, says the foundation is already making an impact within the neighborhood.
It's an organization that we created to help us in serving others and doing things for the community that had been forgotten, honestly. So as you can look around here now, things are happening. New houses are going up, old abandoned houses are being torn down.
Along with rehabilitating the space, Sharon and Tim set their sights on restoring Frank Young Park, a green space just across the street from Aspire, which turned 100 years old last October.
Who doesn't go to a park and hear laughter or hear birds singing or people enjoying it? And so the parks in this community are really crucial for us as spaces that are great for people and healthy spaces for people to laugh and play.
Once a spot for community members to gather and kids to play, the park has since declined in safety and charm. Near Northwest community builder Ron Wright thinks back to what the park used to be and is excited to see its rehabilitation along with Aspire House.
The Aspire House was literally 2 blocks away from my house. I had lived there for more than 10 years and never even knew that was a firehouse because it was a blight for all these years. It was abandoned, it wasn't taken care of. It was right next to a park where people were openly selling drugs and you didn't even want to turn your head.
Tim considers the park an extension of Aspire and hopes to renew it to make it useful for the neighborhood.
The park, we want to make it a center again. As you go to other communities around Indianapolis, the parks, people go to the parks and they hang out, and picnics and things like that, and it is a big part of the community. We want Frank Young to become that park again.
Although the house isn't yet complete, Aspire is already hosting events for Near Northwest community members. On April 21st, volunteers were invited to Frank Young Park's Urban Bloom Gardens to celebrate Earth Day and beautify the area. Even though it was raining for part of the day, participants cleaned up the area, arranged sustainable rain barrels, and created repurposed street art planters to be displayed at the park.
A lot of us are out helping today just to help beautify the neighborhood, and this is very demoralizing to see the trash that's here. So there are a lot of us picking up trash, and the rain stopped just enough for us to get out here.
People of all ages and backgrounds came out to help. 3 Marian University students who have been working on painting a mural down the road from Aspire House say it was exciting to see an entire community come together to clean up and enhance the area.
I think it's rewarding because we're, doing something that's positive to the community, something we can help others with. That's just, it doesn't matter who you are. That's a good feeling to be able to help someone else and make them feel like they're in a beautiful area.
With the help from sponsors and community volunteers, the Clarks aim to complete all construction and renovation and have Aspire House fully functioning by early 2024. While Sharon and Tim are leading the way, an entire community of volunteers, friends, and supporters have rallied behind the idea that Aspire House will forever transform the Near Northwest.
Sharon herself and Tim are people who are they're get things done type of people. They don't like to talk, they like to do.
And now as the house is being built out, I think the possibilities are endless as to what we can do and how we can shine a light on the Near Northwest.
You see this gecko on this book? This is what I see coming to our neighborhood. Color, light, vibrance.
Already we've talked to some neighbors who've been here for a long time that were considering moving. I remember having that conversation. They said, "No, I think I'm going to stay now," because they see the possibilities of some things that are happening around here.
Everybody wants to live in a beautiful space. Everybody wants to be in beautiful spaces. And we're committed to making these spaces in and around this building beautiful.
This story about Aspire House has been written, shot, edited, and produced by Gabby Mirando, Gretchen Scrugland, Jake Kaufman, and Sam Shink for JR313, Spring 2023.